Just letting you know you are in the right place. The webinar is about to begin. I had the microphone off there for a second, but you are in the right place at the right time. It is live by my clock. It's we have about 4 minutes before we get started. All right, and so you are in the right place. And let me see the chat here. If you could see me and hear me okay, just put a Y in the chat box. You know, this is technology, and as amazing as it is, there's also some challenges every blue moon. So just put a yes in the chat box if you could see and hear me okay. And we'll get started here in a couple of minutes, 4 minutes by my count. So let's see here. All right. Can you see and hear me? I just need at least one or two people just to give me a firm yes. All right. It is I'm in Atlanta, so it's 7:57, but in Birmingham it's I guess 6:57. So we're going to get started in a couple of minutes here. All right. So as you're getting on the webinar, I see people are arriving. How to turn your passion into profits and purpose. My name is Eric Anderson. It's 6:58 or 7:58 here in Atlanta, but 6:58 in Birmingham. As I said, this is live, and I always do them live. All right. But I still want to see a still need to see a yes. Can you hear me okay? Let me post that. That was me. You can see me and hear me. Just put a Y in your chat box and press enter. I'll be able to see that this way. I know everything is working properly. All right. We have 2 minutes, 6:58 in Birmingham, 1 minute to go. We're going to get started in about 60 seconds. And again, if you have, to make the experience better, if you have anything playing in the background, any, when I say background, meaning your computer, best to shut that stuff off. It makes the process a lot easier. So your computer isn't going through all this, you know, trying to think as it's going through all this stuff. And, but we are live. All right. You see here. I am going to, all right. It is exactly 8 o'clock here. So it is 7 o'clock in Birmingham. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. So again, live, I'm going to flip this to my slide presentations. You'll see me and you'll see the slide here. It's going to get a little crazy here for a second, but this should be perfectly okay. And every now and then I'll stop as I see new people arrive, just to let them know they are in the right place. Let's see here. Fantastic. Again, like I said, you're in the right place at the right time. It is exactly 7 o'clock in Birmingham. I am in Atlanta, so obviously I'm an hour ahead of you. So what I want you to do is take lots of notes. I have lots of information for you. I will open it up to questions at the end. And but let's get started. So this is about infusing your passion with your purpose and turning that into obviously an income stream into profits, and finally living and creating your personal brand of freedom. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. So you're going to discover a lot here. And the big thing we're going to walk through again is, what is your personal brand of freedom? Is it, it's going to be different for everybody, right? Perhaps you like to travel, right? Perhaps you like to spend money on nice cars. Personally, for me, that is my children. I have twins. That's Samantha and Sebastian, and that's me picking them up a little early from daycare so we could go hang out that Christmas and just have a blast. And that's what what I'm going to explain to you, exactly what's going on. You'll learn exactly how to do it, how I've been doing it, how other people have been doing it. It's a very, very powerful position to be in, to do what you want, when you want, how you want to do it. Now, this is for you if you're actually have experienced some doubt. Doubt is stopping you. Like, you want to move forward, but you're not quite sure what steps to take. I'm going to show you exactly what steps to take. This is for you if you're frustrated because you have a great idea, you have great plans, or you already have something, right? And you want to kind of re-engineer the process a bit. And you're kind of frustrated as to how to make that happen, exactly what steps to take. All right. This is for you if you have strengths in certain areas, but you're really not acting on those strengths. You're not delivering on that particular thing that you love to do. This is for you. And again, I see people getting on. So you're in the right place at the right time. And again, this is live. This is not a recording. This is live. So again, you're not really focused on your strengths the way you could be. Okay. Imagine for a second, right? You have a magic wand, and by waving that magic wand, you're able to do exactly what it is that you love to do. You're able to absolutely follow your heart, not do what everybody else is trying to do, but follow your heart and do exactly what it is that you want to do, right? You've discovered your passion. And because of that, you're able to make a whole lot more money. You're able to provide for your family, the bills are easier to pay, and it's just flowing in. Okay. And, but more importantly, you're able to take your newfound freedom, right? You're able to take the additional income streams that you've created, and you're able to help other people with this. And that's what this is about in a big way. So the obvious question is, why should you listen to me about this? Like, why should you be listening to me? You clicked on a Facebook ad, went to a website, maybe you did some additional research and all that, but why me? Well, imagine for a second you're not listening to me, right? We'll call that you in the middle with the smiley face, but you're still surrounded by all these negative people that really don't. Maybe they have your best interest at heart, but they're not really in line or thinking the way with the way you're thinking. Okay. You're also around somebody that obviously loves you, right? But they really don't see your vision. They don't see the vision that you have for your life. And because of that, they don't really provide encouraging information that allow you that will help you move forward in the process. Or maybe perhaps you feel guilty about having this thing that you want to do. And again, maybe you have some ideas on how to make it happen, but you feel guilty about moving forward. Perhaps you're leaving some friends behind. Perhaps you're doing, but you feel guilty about the entire process. So I'm going to share a little of my story and why this matters to you and why it's so important. That's me. I said I was 3 years old at the time. Everybody says I look big for a 3-year-old. I'm not sure. But anyway, I was I live here in Atlanta now, but I was born and raised in San Diego, California. And I was the 9th child to a single mom. So when I was born, obviously there's a whole lot going on being the 9th child to a single mom. So I was put up for adoption. I was extremely lucky to be adopted when I was 2 years old. However, I was being abused in the adoptive home. So the police removed me from the adoptive home, and I became a ward of the court. And from there, I lived in group homes and foster homes until I was 18 years old. Now, the one consistent thing in this very inconsistent period of my life was my love for the art of magic. So when I was a little kid, when I was a little boy, somebody taught me a very simple magic trick. And now it's a part of every single thing I do today, which is one of my first life lessons. There's always something positive that we could take from something negative, always. Sometimes it's clear as a crystal. Sometimes you have to search for it, but it's always there. And the reason I say that is the person that taught me this magic trick, my adoptive father, he was also the person that was abusing me, the reason I was removed from the home. Now, regardless of what he was doing to me, what he did to me, he gave me a great gift that has allowed me to completely transform my life and live my dream life. So as I said, I'm in group homes and foster homes, and I'm about to age out of the system. And I realized I had some choices and some decisions to make. So I started to read books in self-help and personal development along those lines. So right after high school, I started working as a janitor in San Diego at a place called Seaport Village. It was basically an outdoor mall next to the water, right? It was really kind of cool place, but I was a janitor. And I kept getting these phone calls from this Air Force recruiter who said I did fairly well on the test and he wants me to aim high and join the Air Force. Now, again, wasn't necessarily my passion, but it was something to do. So that's what I did. That's me, I don't know, I think 18 or 19 years old at the time, and joined the United States Air Force. Now, again, when I went into the Air Force, there was no rhyme or reason as to why I was doing it. It was just something to go do. It was something somebody suggested to me, and I hopped on it, right? But again, while I had a great time serving my country and had a great time while I was in, it wasn't what I wanted to do. Because remember that magic trick I told you I learned where I wanted to become a professional magician. So at the time, there was a war going on and I was able to get out of the military a little early because they were having cutbacks. So I took that option. I got out of the military and I moved back to San Diego. And I started working a few odd jobs, okay? One of which I started to drive a taxi. And I was one of the original Uber drivers. Back then we called it a cab driver, right? I was driving this taxi and I'm one particular day I'm driving in this area that I used to live in. And it was actually, I drove past one of the foster homes I used to live in. I have no idea if the people still live there or not, but I drove past that home. And all of a sudden I became flooded with all these emotions. And the reason being is I remember this particular family telling me over and over again that my life would amount to absolutely zero. My life would amount to nothing. This is just an constant onslaught. You're not going to be anything. Your parents don't love you. That's why you're here. You don't have any parents, just this ongoing process, right? Well, obviously hearing these types of things is going to, have an impact on you. And it had an impact. I mean, I had extremely low self-esteem. So when I drove past that particular house, these feelings started to trigger, and I was just sitting there, just kind of stunned, because before I started, as I first started driving a cab, a friend of mine said, "Eric, you have now hit the armpit of the work industry as a cab driver." Coupled with, having that go through my head, coupled with hearing these old feelings, what these people said to me would pop up. And I'm at the corner and I'm literally at a crossroads in my life, like literally. If I go right, I'm gonna go back to the trolley station and wait for the next fare. If I go left, I'm going to go do something different. And I took a left-hand turn. I went down to the Greyhound bus station in San Diego, California, and I bought a one-way ticket on a Greyhound bus leaving from San Diego, headed to Atlanta. I set it up in such a way that I bought the ticket and I had about a week before I left, just, clean up my affairs, which really wasn't a whole lot, right? So I hopped on the Greyhound bus and 3 days later, I find myself in Atlanta. And I'm excited. The reason being is when you want to make a change, you oftentimes have to do something drastic and something different. Okay. Drastic and something different. And this was different for me. I was in a city where I didn't know anybody, right? I had an ability to start from scratch, so to speak. I did not have a support base, did not have a family, had not gone to college, had pretty much no money, right? But what I did have was a vision for my life. And for me, that particular vision was I wanted to become a professional magician, as I mentioned. And the big question was how, right? How do I go make this happen without a support base, without any connections, without family, without a backup plan? I didn't have any of that stuff. So what is it that I do? And one of the big mistakes a lot of people make is they believe, well, here, okay. So what I did is I learned exactly what I needed to do to make my dream happen. And one of the things I learned is if you want to have a major breakthrough is look at what other people are doing in other industries and apply that to your industry. So everything I'm about to share with you here in a minute has zero to do with me being a magician at the time and everything to do with how to apply it to what it is you do. So when I learned what to do, right? When I learned what to do, my situation changed dramatically. I started speaking and performing at corporate events. I created a company. We produced events for the Super Bowl, a couple Super Bowls, the Olympics, and was creating magically themed events for all of these companies. To be on stage in front of about 1,000 people at a corporate function. And I was living my dream. Because of that, I learned how to get on television. I learned how to market and position myself. So the media wanted to reach out to me. And while I was doing this, a good friend of mine, I created this, this level of success. And a good friend of mine said, Eric, you really should consider sharing some of your backstory, some of your history with your audiences. And I said, why? She said, well, when people look at you, they're going to make certain assumptions about you. When they see what you can do, they want to know how you do it. But I think you should explain to people exactly why you do what it is you do. And sometimes something makes so much sense. You hear what the person says, but you don't actually hear what they say. And but then I started sharing my story of growing up in foster homes and group homes with kids in foster care, social workers, judges, and that created an entirely different thing. And that's when I became known as a magician with a message. And my passion led me into my purpose, right? My passion led me into my purpose of showing other people how to accomplish what appears to be impossible. So I had opportunity to, work with numerous celebrities. There's Jeff Foxworthy. I was invited to the governor's mansion here in Georgia, did a presentation, performance for President Jimmy Carter. So how did all this happen? All right. Now, here's what Joe Bauer has to say. He's the author of the book, The Gift Shift. And he says, if you have a desire to generate more income and have a whole lot more freedom, then Eric Anderson, without question, is one of the very few men on this planet infinitely prepared from his life experience, his wisdom, and his genius to show you how. So let's get to showing you exactly how to make this happen with your passion, what it is that you do. The big question is, Eric, why are you teaching this? Like, why am I teaching this stuff? Well, I know firsthand what it's like to have a vision, to have something that you're going after, to have something that you're trying to achieve, and to be completely lost as to actually make that happen, right? You're searching, you're trying stuff, stuff isn't working out. And I know exactly what that's like. I know what it's like to start from absolutely zero, nothing, there's support, nothing. And I know how to make that happen, but I know what it's like trying to figure it out. So I know what it's like to, like the most expensive information in the world is bad information. And I know what it's like to come across bad information and go down the wrong path only to find that you've hit a dead end, right? And the bill of goods somebody told you about or sold you on or whatever was not the right place to be, right? I know what it's like to go down that wrong path. And one of the things I learned is a lot of people, as I was following my passion, living my passion, one of the questions I would get, I've heard thousands and thousands of times is how did you do it? Right? That was one variation of the question. The other variation is it must be nice to get paid to do something that you absolutely love to do. And I would hear that question over and over again. And people would ask me how. And the answer I gave people at the time was, you just do it, right? Well, I wasn't really thinking about it, but you don't just, obviously you just do it, but I didn't really give them the answer because at the time I had not dissected exactly what it is that I did. So we're going to show you exactly how to make that happen. So here's what you're going to discover. Here's where you start taking all the notes. We're going to talk about tapping, translating, and tying. Okay. So the first one is you got to tap into your passion. Not somebody else's vision, right? Not what somebody else wants you to do. What is it that you want to do? If money was not a concern, right? We'll get to how to make the money, but if money was not a concern, what is it that you would love to go do, right? Right? That's an excellent starting point. And when you tap into exactly what it is that you want to do, you get crystal clear about what to do, like what steps to take. One of the challenges, I've coached people through this, and one of the challenges is a lot of people are all over the place. One week they're doing this, next week they're doing this, next week they're doing this, next week they're doing this. And the theory is, right, something's going to work out. But it only really works out in a major way, when you're, like making money is easy, right? I'm going to get to making money is easy, but making money in such a way that it's in line with who you are as a person, with what you want to do, right? That's where the joy comes from. That's where the joy comes from, designing your life around what it is that you want to do. But first you got to get crystal clear about what that is, And when you do that, when you do get crystal clear, that creates the balance in your life, right? Because now you're in alignment with where you're going, right? And that's where the balance comes from. And that's like adding rocket fuel to your passion. And that's when things start to take off in a major, major way. So I'm gonna pull an example here. That's obviously a ship loaded with all this stuff. I was right after the Air Force, right? After I did my 2 years in the Air Force, got out, I moved back to San Diego. And this is one of the odd jobs I had. I started to work prior to driving a cab. I started to work for the Navy, unloading the Navy ships. And this is like back-breaking manual labor, right? Hard work, unloading and loading these ships up all day long, right? 8 hours a day. And one day I just finished my shift, just put in 8 hours, whatever it was. And I'm leaving and my supervisor says, Anderson. I said, yes, sir. He says, we need you to stay. I said, sir, can't stay. I have something to go do. He then says, do you want to keep your job? I said, yes. He said, well, you'll stay then. And I stayed, right? And I felt, just to be in a position where somebody could talk to me like this, right? Somebody could talk to you like this, and me not to have an option of what to go do was just totally humiliating to me. And I absolutely had to stay. I had to break my plans. This is pre-cell phones and all that type of stuff. I had to break my plans and I had to stay because I was so concerned about losing my job. And in that moment, right? In that moment, I said to myself, my life cannot be dependent on how this person feels, meaning in this case, my boss, how this person feels when they wake up that day, right? I have to have some sort of control over the situation. And just having that conversation with myself was absolutely life-changing. So here's the first thing you do, right? Again, write this down. First off, you don't want to discount your knowledge or skills, right? Do not discount your knowledge or skills. I've yet to come across somebody that has knowledge or skills that can't be turned into something that they can monetize, all right? So first off, don't discount what it is that you know and what it is that you do, okay? Remember, my goal initially was just to be a magician, okay? Right? Next, you make a list of stuff you love to do. And second, and you create a second list of what other people kind of associate with you, right? So I'm just going to use a real basic example of, let's say you make great cookies or make great peach cobbler as an example. And every during the holidays, everybody's saying, hey, will you go make that peach cobbler for us? They kind of associate that with you. But also, is this something that you love to do, right? Is it something that you love to do? But you got to kind of get this stuff down on paper first. And this is so important. And so many people miss this. And I just want to scream this at the top of my lungs, at the top of a building, so everybody can hear it all at once. You have to understand that you cannot pick the incorrect thing. You cannot pick the wrong thing. Now, you might pick a business model that's not as effective as another business model, but you cannot pick the wrong thing. And here's why I say that. Every single thing you could think of, right, that you could think of has somehow, unless you use $1 million as a benchmark, right, a millionaire, right, every single thing you could think of has created millionaires in that particular thing, has created millionaires in that particular thing. So you cannot pick the wrong item. You can pick a business model that's less effective. We'll get to that in a second, but you cannot pick the wrong thing. So there's no worry. You just got to pick something. It goes back to getting clear about what it is that you're trying to do. And next, you pick one thing on this list that's in line with who you are as a person, right? What I talked about earlier is in line with your heart, right? Is in line with your heart. You pick one thing and you get started, okay? So here's what Marco Frezza had to say. Since being introduced to Eric Anderson, he has taught me how to take the skills I have and turn them into cash money. To date, Eric's advice has put $372,000 in my pocket. Eric's system is pure gold. Simply follow a step-by-step plan and reap the rewards. And again, Marco was in that same place where he was kind of all over the place, and we narrowed him in. We got him real focused on what he should be doing, and he turned that into a very, very successful business. So you got to get in line with what it is that you want to do first, okay? And just for complete clarity, that $372,000 was over like a few years. It wasn't just in one launch of something or one big thing. It was over a few years. So just said that for clarity. So, so the first T was just to tap into your passion, right? The second is translate it, right? You got to translate your passion into a product or a service, right? Into a product or service that people are already accustomed to giving money for, right? So if you translate it into something and you're trying to get somebody from ground zero to understand what it is that you're doing, right? It's too tough. You want to get in front of a moving train, so to speak, not literally, but you want to get in front of what people are already accustomed to doing. And that's translating it into something that people are already accustomed to giving money for. This could be a product or service, right? We'll talk about a few of those in a moment. So, and when you do this, this puts you in the driver's seat. This puts you in control. And what's great about it is the ultimate leverage, because now, right, you're not dependent on somebody else's product or service. You now own the product or service, or both. I mean, you can do multiple stuff, but we start simple first, right? You now own the product or service that allows you to drive the car. And that's where the control comes from, right? That's where the control comes from. And that's when you start to live your dream, because one, you're in alignment, right? You're in alignment with what it is that you want to do. I'm extremely passionate about this. If I start to talk loudly, I apologize. But you're in alignment with what it is that you want to do. You've turned it into a product or service, right? And now you're moving forward. So that's why this is so important. Let me give you a great example. This is a case study. Her name's LaTanya Bowens. LaTanya reached out to me. We had a mutual friend. LaTanya reached out to me kind of in a panic, because she found out that she was more than likely, like highly likely, she was about to lose her job in the next 30 days. And she reached out to me, like I said, a mutual friend. She knew what I did through this friend and asked, could I help her through the process? And very intelligent young lady, she was I believe it was a social worker at the time. And just a little backstory on her, she's single mother, right? She was working full time, going to school full time, but she knew she had to make time to make this happen. So she reached out to me. We had a conversation, and she said, Eric, I'm not going to insult you. I know, I'm willing to make the investment in myself. Just tell me what that is. I'll make the investment. I just need to make this happen, because I'm not sure what I'm going to do if or when I lose my job. And I need to have something in place. I need to have something in place. So what happened with LaTanya is once we started working together, which is fairly quickly, I went over a few questions with her and I asked her, like, well, tell me some of the things that you do. Tell me some of the things that you love to do. And she mentioned to me that she mentioned a number of things, and I let her talk. She mentioned a number of things, but she mentioned that she had a daily email that went out of just inspirational stuff, right? That just went out on a daily basis. That she had a few hundred subscribers that would, tune in and get her email, and they really, really enjoyed it. Okay. And it made her feel good because it was also her inspiration, right? And she was just sharing what she loved to do, right? What she loved to do, she was sharing it with other people. And I said, that's it. That's how you're going to make some money. And she was like, what? I'm doing it for free. How am I going to make money doing that? And I'll talk about what she did in a second. But here's what you need to do first. I told her she had to translate that into a product that people are accustomed to giving money for, right? Not that you can't do it, but people are not accustomed to giving money for just emails. I'm not saying it can't be done because I do it, right? But they're not accustomed to it, okay? So you got to write down a possible product or service, right? A couple of ideas, okay? Next thing you got to do is you got to make sure this product or service connects with what you tapped into earlier, okay? By connecting with what you tapped into earlier, I mean, what is it that you love to do? Okay, what is it that you love to do? And your product or service has to be in line with that, has to be in line with that. And you also want to write down how you're going to benefit other people with this product or service. Okay, so it's not just about you. It's not just about you profiting, but how are you going to benefit other people? Perhaps it's taking a portion of the proceeds and always donating it to a particular cause. Or perhaps it's because of what you're doing, right? You're creating a positive impact in the world just by doing what it is you're doing. But how does it benefit other people? Okay, so back to LaTanya real quick. In her case, I told her to repurpose those emails into a book, and I showed her exactly how to do it, and that became her first product. And here's what she had to say. Eric taught me how to translate what I was already doing for fun into a product, and before I knew it, I was making an extra $400 per week. If I lost my job tomorrow, I now own a skill set that puts me in a position to be financially independent and make money for the rest of my life. And just for clarity, she did lose her job, right? She was exactly correct, right? She did lose her job, but she had all this other stuff in place, right? That helped that process, creating an extra $400 a week, which started with the book, but then led to other stuff with seminars and speaking and some other stuff that she's doing. So, but you got to get that first product, and that's translating it into something that people are already accustomed to doing. Okay. So the final step in the process is you got to tie all of this stuff together. And when I say tie it together, you tie it together with effective selling and marketing. Now, it may not seem like it because, I've stood on stage since I was 13 years old. I've been in front of people doing stuff, but I'm actually a very, very kind of quiet. I don't want to necessarily say shy, but kind of a quiet person. So I've come up with really effective ways to sell without selling, to market without marketing, right? So I don't even have to necessarily even be in front of the people, because sometimes when you say marketing and sales, people get kind of, I can't do that. I can't do that. But when it's done elegantly, right? It's just a conversation, right? It's this hardcore, like, you're a used car salesman or something. It's not about that. But here's the important thing. You've tapped into your passion. You've translated that now into a product or service that benefits other people. And if you honestly believe that your product or service benefits other people and impacts them in a positive way, you honestly believe that, right? I know for a fact what I'm offering here impacts and changes lives. Fact, right? So once you have taken your product or service and it benefits other people, it is your moral obligation to get it to them, right? Because to do otherwise, you're doing them a disservice. It's your moral obligation to get it to them. And the way that happens is, and this is the piece of the puzzle that people miss, is you have to tie in effective marketing. You must tie in effective marketing. And let me just, because you could tap into your passion, you could translate it, but if people don't know about you, right? If people don't know about it, it's just not going to happen. And the marketing is the engine that runs everything, right? Marketing is the engine that runs the entire business. And what's great about it is once you understand it, it's like having your personal ATM machine, and you can literally create COD, cash on demand. You could create money on demand when you understand exactly what to do. And if you ever found yourself in a particular situation and you had to start over from scratch, you can do it, right? Because now you know what to do, right? So you know what it is you want to do. You've translated that into a product or service. And if you ever found yourself in a situation, you like Latanya was talking about, right? You could start from scratch and recreate the process. And that is an absolutely beautiful position to be in. So I was in a mall a while back, and I'm going to tell you how this all kind of ties together. I was in a mall a while back, and a young man approaches me, really, really excited, right? And he says, "That's you. It's you. You're the magician with the message." I said, "Yeah." And he's really, really excited. He says, "Man, you absolutely changed my life." I said, "What do you mean I changed your life?" He said, "You changed my life." I said, "Tell me more." He says, "I saw you speak twice. First time I saw you speak was at the group home I was living in." He was in foster care, he was telling me. Didn't have a mother or father. He was in foster care. "I saw you speak in the group home I was living in. The second time I saw you speak was at a conference in Atlanta for youth in foster care. And man, you changed my life." I said, "Well, what is it, right? Like what I do?" And he told me that one of the things I recommend to people, especially in that particular environment, because remember, you got to remember they don't have a support base. They don't have usually have a family to fall back on if something happens, right? And stuff happens to all of us. Even small stuff could domino into major stuff if you don't have that support base. So what I do is I tell youth in foster care, if you ever find yourself in a situation or you lost your job or whatever, one of the easiest ways to get some income coming in is to go get a job selling something, right? Because usually, not always, but usually they give you some sort of base pay. And if you learn what it is that you're doing, if you learn how to market and sell yourself, it could be mind blowing to you. And that's what he told me he walked away with. And he found himself in a position, right? And he went out and he had other jobs, but he went out and got a sales job because he had lost those other jobs. And he was excited to tell me that he was making $150,000 a year. And he said, "I'm only 23 years old and I've never even gone to college," right? And he's just totally ecstatic about this situation. Now, here's the beautiful part about the situation. Remember, money's easy to make. It's not about the money, right? That's beautiful for him, but it's not about the money. But here's the beautiful thing that he did. He went back to the group home he was living in, and he adopted the group home. And every Christmas, he goes and he buys all the kids presents, right? That's contributing back. Right, that's contributing back. That's tying it in. That's tying what he's found that he's good at, right? And he's tying it and he's passing it forward. Okay, that's how you do it. But the important thing is, young guy, right? 23 years old, $150,000 a year, and he's found a way to give back by doing that. All right. So here's what you want to focus on here. Here's what to go do. You only want to focus, and this is important. A lot of people miss this. You only want to focus on marketing that asks for an instant response. That's called direct response marketing. There's two types of marketing you could focus on. You could focus on what's called image advertising, which is usually what major corporations do when they plaster. You see Coca-Cola as an example, plaster a billboard up and they just drive by and you see the Coke sign, right? Or there's direct response, which is actually asking people to take some sort of action. And the reason direct response, you don't want to do the image advertising. You don't want to do that. Corporations have huge budgets, and they also have different agendas, right? Our agenda as I like to call a passionpreneur, right? As a passionpreneur is to invest money and see it come back pretty quickly, right? Corporations have different agendas. Our agenda is to not lose the money, okay? The second part is you got to understand message, market, and media. My marketing mentor, Dan Kennedy, explains it like this. Message is what you're saying to the people, right? Market is the people that you are going after. And your media is, you can look at it as a delivery system. How are you going to deliver it, right? So in this particular example, right, I'm using the power of a webinar as a media, right? There's lots of different forms of media. There's mail, there's email, there's video, right? There's commercial, there's all sorts of media that you can use, okay? But you got to have the media. But it starts with the message and then the market, or market and message, depending on what you're doing. And then you figure out the best way to get it to them, right? The best way to get it to them that's going to be effective. All right. And I'm going to share one of my absolute favorites is publicity. The reason I love publicity is it's absolutely powerful, right? The investment to make publicity happen is next to nothing, right? There's next to zero. I mean, there could be a small investment depending on if you're sending stuff out, but next to pretty much nothing. And the powerful thing about it is it's not seen as advertising. It's seen as a credibility builder, right? Because it's such a powerful thing. It's just such a powerful thing. And so many people fail to use it because, one, they don't necessarily know how to go make it happen. So a couple of things you need to understand about publicity is all these different avenues, they are absolutely looking for your content. They want to know what it is that you have. You just have to know how to approach them, what to say, right? In order for them to put you on there, whether it's a TV show, radio show, newspaper, podcast, I mean, online media, it's endless, right? There's lots of different options, but it's such a powerful, powerful, powerful thing. So I'll give you an example of publicity. This is Cara Sevier. I was working with her, and she's here's what she has to say. Eric showed me step by step how to present myself to the media. I was able to secure an interview with NBC and present my book and my business. It was a wonderful experience. And I showed Cara how to send a real simple email, and she was booked on the D. Armstrong show to promote, it's kind of hard to see, but to promote her book and her business, which helped launch what she was doing, okay? So very, very powerful position to be in. So you got to use publicity. Okay. So here's what you've learned so far. There's a lot of information. Here's what you've discovered so far. There's a lot of information out there that pretty much complicates the process, but this is not complicated. It's three things. You tap into what it is that you absolutely love to do, right? You tap what it is into what you love to do. You translate that into a product or service. And also keep in mind, you can be the product that's providing the service or the product, okay? But you tap into what it is you love to do. You translate it into a product or service, and you tie in some marketing. That's it. There's only three pieces to the puzzle, right? There's all this other stuff out there about you. No. There's only three pieces to the puzzle. What is it? What is it that you love to do? What do you translate it into? And how do you market it? That's it. But when you do that, that's what creates your personal brand of freedom, right? And again, that changes from person to person, right? Mine, like I said, is being able to provide for my family and my kids, right? What is yours? It might be, I have no idea. It's going to change from person to person. So I want you to get this one thing. When you tie those three steps together, by following your passions, you'll finally create your personal brand of freedom and design the life you and your family deserve without worrying about the craziness you've dealt with in the past. See, all that stuff in the past is in the past. But what's great about it is you could actually use some of that stuff in the past to propel you forward in the future. Okay. So there's a couple ways to make this happen, right? How do you how do I go do all of this, Eric? There's the way I did. Okay. I use the hard way, which takes time, right? That's why I have an hour class there. It takes time. Or now the problem with this is it's not a problem. It just takes time. Right? You have to do the research. You have to kind of go through the process, right? It takes time. Or you could do what I call the speed of light, the fast way. So I want to introduce you to my system, the Ultimate Passionpreneur Success System and Toolkit. Now, before I tell you what this isn't for everybody, okay? And let me explain why. If you're someone who's looking for some sort of get rich quick scheme, right? You just send an email or something, or spamming, or one of those types of things that you think is going to make you a fortune. This isn't it. This is not it. This actually takes some work. Now, I've distilled it down into a simple system that you can follow, and I've done a lot of the work for you already. But you still got to go out and make it happen. You got to do it, okay? So it's not some get rich quick scheme. So if you think that's what this is, it's not. If you can't follow an ABC step-by-step 1, 2, 3 system, right? And you're somebody that's rather, you kind of see the information, but you rather reinvent the wheel, it's not going to work for you, okay? Because this is a very simple process. I told you, you tap into it, you translate it, and you tie in very effective marketing. And finally, if the investment in the program is going to take food off your table, I don't want you to make the investment. I want you to take the information I've shared with you so far, benefit from it, and perhaps we'll meet down the road, okay? But if it's going to cause you to, I say miss a meal, that's a little extreme, but if it's going to cause you some sort of financial hardship, do not make the investment, all right? So let me tell you about the program. And here's what you're going to receive. As I said, it's the Ultimate Passionpreneur Success System and Toolkit. And what it is a digital program that's delivered to you in your inbox, right? And it's divided into 4 modules. The first module is how to tap into your passion and define I show you to define your personal objectives. There's a 7-step system I walk you through, and then figuring out exactly what it is that you want to do. And I show you how to reinvent yourself and how to make that happen. And I forgot to mention, there's also a quick start audio CD. I forgot to put that on this particular slide, but there's a quick start audio CD that gets you started. And then you actually move into module number 1. Okay. So that's module number 1. Module number 2 is how to translate, right, your passion into a product or service. And I give you lots of ideas and how to uncover your $1 million audience. See, your $1 million audience is going to be different than my $1 million audience. It's going to be different from Brandy's $1 million audience, right? But how to uncover your $1 million audience, how to translate it, right, into a product or service that people are already accustomed to giving money for. So in LaTanya's example, she was doing something for free, right? But I showed her how to repurpose what she was already doing for free into a book in her particular case, right? And what was fascinating is the same people that were getting the emails for free, they all bought the book as well, okay? So you got to translate it into something that people are accustomed to giving money for. And I show you how to outline the product questions, how to put it all, how to put all this together, okay? And the third module, I show you how to properly name your product or service for top profits, okay? And I also show you how to, what type of marketing to focus on right now. I also give you the 3 powerful marketing concepts you got to absolutely add to what it is that you're doing. I say business, but I prefer to say your passionpreneurship, right? I am a passionpreneur, okay? But the 3 most powerful marketing concepts that you could add to that. And I'm going to give you my personal favorite marketing strategy. I mentioned publicity. I'm not talking, publicity is great, but my personal favorite marketing strategy. I'm explaining exactly what that is. And in the 4th module, I'm going to give you the passionpreneur mindset. See, there's a lot of mindset shifts that people got to make, right? And I'm going to explain to you exactly what those are, especially as you start to experience your success, right? You're going to kind of see some people kind of come out the woodworks and say a few things, and you have to know how to deal with that. And you have to know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen, and what to say, and understand that it's going to happen. But I give you all the mindset shifts that you got to understand. And it's 18 key ones that you got to understand. I personally believe this is the most powerful part in the process, because if you don't get this right up here, everything falls apart, right? Because you could be derailed very, very quickly by what other people say. I have some special bonuses for you. First, I'm giving you a digital copy and a physical copy. I'm going to mail it to you of my book, The Ultimate Passionpreneur. This is my top selling book, The Ultimate Passionpreneur. Like I said, I'm going to give you a digital copy, and I'm going to mail a physical copy of the book to you. That has a value of $24.95, but that is absolutely yours and for free. And I have a live event coming up. I do not have the exact date yet. It's going to be late spring, early fall, right? It's called Truth to Transformation Live. And it's a 2-day experience. I'm giving you 2 tickets to that live event. Okay, so bring yourself and somebody who's in line with your way of thinking, somebody who has an open mind to the event. It's absolutely powerful, and it's exactly what it is: truth to transformation. Right? You experience your truth, and you absolutely have a transformation at the event. And it's also important to be around like-minded people. Right? So that's another reason why you want to come to the event. And for some reason, when I announce the dates, if for some reason you cannot make the event, right? If you can't make it for whatever that reason is, the ticket I'm giving you, it's what you could come to the event. I understand if you can't make the first one, but you will come to one of them. So, and I also give you a graduation gift, and that's a certified certificate of completion. And this is based on the honor system. When you complete the course, you go through the course, you reach out to me and say, look, Eric, I've done it. Here's what I've done. I've done it. And I'm going to have this printed out, and I'm going to sign it and send it to you in the mail. Okay. Send it to you in the mail, showing that you could actually start and finish something. And like I said, it's the honor system, and it's not based on some time schedule. It's when you get it accomplished. So you're able to do this at your leisure. But when you see the results that you're going to get, and the feeling of wanting to get up every single day and do what you absolutely love to do, I think you're going to get right on it. So the value of all of this stuff, right? So the value of everything, if we're to add all of that up, is $2,018.95. Okay. The retail value, if you go to my website, ericandersonlive.com, it's on the website now with none of the bonuses for $697. Okay. Now that's not the investment, the total value. That's not the investment, because you are on the webinar this evening, and this is a live webinar. I only do this live. It will not be replayed. There's no recording of it. I have a webinar special, and let me go back here. And before I explain that to you, what the webinar special is, let me just say, when you apply what it is I am going to share with you in this system, you're going to be able to create your personal brand of freedom. You're going to tap into your passion. You're going to translate it. You're going to finally translate it into something that people are accustomed to giving money for. And you're going to create your personal brand of freedom. You'll have more money coming in, more importantly, more time, and you will be able to do what it is that you love to do, following your passion. And maybe it's just creating an extra income stream, right? But you're going to be able to do that. So the webinar special is 2 investments of $175 spread 30 days apart for a total of $350, right? Or if you make a single investment of $297, there's additional savings there, I think $53, whatever that is, okay? So it's 2 investments of $175 spread 30 days apart. So you make one investment now of $175, and the remaining investment of $175 with 30 days from now, okay? And or a single investment of $297. And trust me, I am giving this away to you at $350 or the $297. This is an absolute steal. So I also have some extra special bonuses for you, right? I believe in delivering more than I promise. So I have some extra special bonuses that's only for the webinar. I mentioned to you the first fast action bonus is how to write and publish and sell your book in 30 days. Okay. This is what I showed LaTanya how to do. When I showed Kara and Karen Rands how to do. It's a very simple process. And I even walked you through a process I used to sell 900 books, right? I sold 900 books before my book was even finished, right? Before my book was even finished. But I'm going to give you that to you as a special bonus when you take fast action, because you'll see a clock up there in a second. I'm also going to give you the magic of publicity, how to go get featured in the media, right? How to do exactly what I showed Kara how to do, what I showed Marco how to do, what I've done, what I've showed other people how to do, how to go get on TV, radio, and all this great stuff to feature your products and services, okay? And also, I'm going to give you a 35-minute private coaching call with me personally, and I'm going to record the call. I'm going to send it to you in the form of audio notes. And I'm going to go over your personal, like what it is that what is your deal, right? So I'm going to ask you some questions prior to the call. Let me make sure. I'm asking questions prior to the call, and then I'm going to go over you. I'm going to deal with you personally, okay? Let me just make sure this is on the board here. All right. Okay, so let's see. And here's what Carla DeRosa had to say. First time I met Eric, I literally had a headache because the concepts are so amazing and outside what I thought business was supposed to be about. I started to apply a few of the concepts, and within a very short period of time, her case, a few months, I began making a lot more money. Eric was telling me to add zeros to what I do. I was like, no one is going to pay that, but they totally are. This makes me sustainable, and it makes me more confident in my work and really feeling and living the value of what I do. All right. So I believe in guaranteeing every single thing I do. So this is my nothing up my sleeve. I have nothing to hide. Right. 100% money back guarantee. First 60 days of the guarantee is unconditional. Okay. Make the investment in the Ultimate Passionpreneur Blueprint. And for any reason or no reason at all right, I will return your investment. No questions asked. All right. 60 days. Okay. You have 60 days to run through it. All right. The second part is conditional. Ride with me for an additional 10 months and follow the Ultimate Passionpreneur Blueprint as I outline it, showing you exactly what to do. And if you don't make a minimum of at least 10 times your investment, right, send me a handwritten note through email. It doesn't literally be a physical note, but a handwritten note through email saying what you tried, and I'll buy the program back from you, right? That's as fair as I could possibly be doing this. Again, this is about you taking your passion, turning it into profits, and creating your personal brand of freedom. So if you look to the, right of your screen, you will see a button. It should say click here to enroll. And what that's going to do is it's going to take you to an additional page that will basically outline every single thing I just went over with you, right? It's going to outline every single thing I just went over with you. And then once you click to make the investment, it's going to take you to a PayPal page. Okay. So here's every single thing that you receive. How to tap into your passion, right? Module number 1, how to translate your passion into a product or service, right? How to tie in the powerful marketing, how to think about this entire process, and the special bonuses. The Ultimate Passionpreneur book. You get 2 tickets to my live event, Truth to Transformation Live. And you also get your graduation certificate. And obviously, there's no risk at all because you have my nothing up my sleeve money back guarantee. So click the here to enroll button now, and you will be taken to a separate page. And I look forward to working with you. And I absolutely want to open this up to any questions that you may have right now. All right. Okay, so we're going to give it a few minutes, giving you an opportunity to make your investment, and we will go from there. If you have any questions, please type your questions into the chat box, and I will answer your questions. I want to stay on long enough to make sure I get all the questions answered, and I really look forward to working with you. So let me check this here real quick, and then I will see what questions we have, and we will go from there. Let's see, what questions do we have? Chat. All right. All right, so we're right at 1 hour. So I want to thank everybody who had the opportunity to get on the webinar. I really appreciate that. And for those who made the investment into the program, you will be taken to a link, and that link will open up and you'll have all your information right there in front of you. So I really appreciate you taking the time to be on. Have an amazing day, and thank you very much. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes as far as the timer goes here. So we have 8 minutes remaining. All right. Well, it looks like people have signed out, and you will have your information soon. And I appreciate you taking the time to be in a webinar. Have an amazing evening, and thank you for joining me. Goodbye. All right. Looks like somebody else just jumped back on here in the last possible second. All right. I want to answer any questions that you may have. So if you have any questions, please type those into the chat box. and I will answer all your questions. Just to recap everything, when you click the Here to Enroll button, you will be taken to a separate, click Here to Enroll, you'll be taken to a separate page that outlines the entire, everything I've gone over. Then we'll start working together. Now, with that said, I do want to answer any questions that you have. So please type any questions that you have into the chat box. And I'm more than happy to answer your questions. All right, let me just double check here. Let's see, where'd they go? All right, no final questions there. Hey, well, I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on the webinar. And again, I do these live, nothing's recorded, so there will be no replay of it. Again, I'll give it one last second for any final questions. And for those who choose to take advantage of the special offer, you get all the special bonuses. You get the quick start bonus. You get the how to write your book in 30 days and publish your book, how to get publicity, with the whole thing. It's all yours. And you get the private call with me in addition to the whole Ultimate Passionpreneur Success System and Toolkit. So let's see here. Any final questions? No? So again, thank you for being on the webinar. Have a fantastic evening, and thanks for joining me. Goodbye.